Hello, I'm Kristy Swick, RVT, and I will be speaking to you today about controlled substances. We're going to break this video into 3 different parts. Part 1 is about what these substances are. Part 2 is about logging, inventory, and management of these substances. And Part 3 is theft and drug losses. So grab your pens and papers and let's jump right in. A controlled substance is a chemical or drug whose possession, manufacture, and use are regulated by the government. These can be prescription drugs or illegal drugs. There are 5 classes of controlled substances. These classes can also be referred to as schedules. Non-narcotic drugs are drugs derived from opium or compounds similar to opium. Such drugs are potent pain relievers and can affect mood and behavior. Long-term use of narcotics can lead to dependency and tolerance. Narcotic drugs are any of a group of drugs such as heroin, morphine, and pethidine that produce numbness and stupor. They are used medically to relieve pain, but are sometimes also taken for their pleasant effects. Prolonged use may cause addiction. Class 1. Class 1 drugs are defined as drugs which the DEA has determined have no valid medical use, but a high potential for addiction. Narcotic and non-narcotic basic classes. A few examples of these classes are dextromorphine, heroin, and marijuana. Class 2. Class 2 drugs are drugs with a high potential for addiction, but a valid medical use. Narcotic basic classes include cocaine, codeine, ethylmorphine, hydrocodone, opium, raw or powdered, oxycodone, and poppy straw. Non-narcotic basic classes include amphetamine, phenobarbital, phenylacetone, and secrobarbital. Class 3. Class 3 controlled substances have a low to moderate potential for drug addiction. Narcotic basic classes include codeine up to 90 mg per DU plus other ingredients, ethylmorphine up to 15 mg per DU plus other ingredients, opium up to 500 mg per 100 ml to other active ingredients. Non-narcotic basic classes include anabolic steroids, ketamine, vinbarbital. Class 4. Class 4 drugs have a much lower addiction potential relative to the other schedules. Narcotic basic classes include dextropropoxyphene. Non-narcotic basic classes include diazepam, mephobarbital, phenobarbital, and triazolam. Class 5. Class 5 controlled substances have the lowest potential for addiction. This includes buprenorphine and codeine cough preparation. Now moving on to Part 2, logging, inventory, and management. A federal controlled substance certification, DEA, is required for a provider to prescribe controlled substances. A written log must be kept of every milliliter and every pill of a controlled substance that is used on a daily basis. Some clinics have gone to a backup computer log, but this is not required. Vet techs are normally responsible for keeping the log. However, due to the fact that the doctor could lose their license if a specific amount of controlled drugs are unaccounted for, sometimes the office manager will keep a backup log. Injectable controlled drugs usually have the correct amount of milliliters that are labeled, if not more. However, tablets that are typically distributed by weight. So a bottle that is labeled 100 tablets could actually only have 98 tablets. In clinics that keep the utmost AAHA standards, it is recommended to count the pills as they are opened and report any discrepancies. Each bottle of a controlled drug has a lot number and expiration date. It is vital to record in the log which lot number the drug came from when administered. It is also crucial to pay attention to the expiration date and dispose of any drugs that are past due and record that in the log as well. As a technician, if there is ever a discrepancy noticed between how much drug has been logged, as used, and what is actually missing from the bottle, immediately alert the doctor whose license was used to order the controlled drug. It is their license that is on the line. Controlled drugs should be kept in a place that requires at least 2 locks to get through. In reality, this means that one would have to have a key to the hospital and one to where the controlled substances are kept, which is typically only possessed by the doctor. Disgruntled employees are the main reason for controlled drugs missing, and this includes doctors, veterinary technicians, and receptionists. Now on to part 3, theft and drug losses. If more than 3% of a drug is missing, the loss must be reported to the local police, DEA, and State Board of Pharmacy. Some states also require a report to the State Board of Veterinary Medicine. The percentage of annual use should be calculated by dividing the discrepancy by the total number of milliliters per tablets and multiplied by 100 to obtain a percentage. Theft or drug loss must be reported to the police and DEA immediately. Ongoing losses can result in loss of license and strict fines. DEA Form 106 should be filled out and forwarded to local DEA office. Another copy may have to be forwarded to the State Board of Pharmacy. One copy should be retained for controlled substance file. This concludes our video on controlled substances. We hope that you have obtained the knowledge to work in your environment. We thank you, and we'll see you next time.